You already know this story. It's the first hours or days of a new job. The weight is heavy. Others are settling in, chatting, making quick connections. Even the other newcomers look confident. And you hesitate. You overthink. You hold back. You watch. It feels like you're already behind. But what if I told you? That moment is not failure. It's the invisible preparation before something most people never see coming. A shift. A sudden click. The mind that seems slow suddenly erupts with unstoppable force. Like a volcano. Silent for years until one day it explodes and reshapes the entire landscape. And in that moment, everyone around you, maybe even you, realizes they never saw it coming. Because there is a certain kind of mind that does not grow like everyone else. A mind that grows slowly, invisibly, and then one day leaps ahead with a clarity no one else can match. These are the deep intuitive minds. And in the MBTI system, they include the INFJ, the INFP, the INTJ, and the INTP. Different letters, yes, but one hidden rhythm. Slow, 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 then suddenly, clarity. But why does this rhythm exist? Why are these four types so different, growing in silence for so long, even when it feels like delay, weakness, or pain, only to leap ahead when no one expects it? In the next minutes, I'll show you what's really happening inside their minds. You'll see the three hidden phases that lead to the sudden click, and the greater click of a lifetime, a transformation most people never even imagine. And because you are a deep intuitive, I know you won't stop at the surface. You want the roots. So let's turn to Carl Jung, who revealed the function at the heart of these rare minds: intuition. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology, dedicated his life to exploring the human psyche. He saw four core functions shaping how we experience the world: thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuition. For Jung, intuition wasn't a guess or a hunch. It was a powerful function of the mind, one that perceives hidden patterns, connects what is unseen, and reveals meaning others miss. And Jung himself lived this reality. He had an intuitive mind, able to see beyond the surface and sense the hidden forces shaping human life. That is why the lives of deep intuitives are different. They are not governed by quick reaction or surface impressions, but by an inner process that requires time, energy, and depth before it fully shows itself. To understand their rhythm, we first have to understand what makes them deep intuitives in the first place. At the core of all four minds lies the same foundation. Two traits that make them deep intuitives. First, depth. All four are introverted at the core, their energy moving inward before it moves outward. Second, intuition. For an INFJ or an INTJ, it's dominant introverted intuition, the deep function that works in silence, drawing scattered impressions into one converging vision of where things are leading. For an INFP or an INTP, it's auxiliary extroverted intuition, the function that scans outward possibilities and brings them back to support their inner world of values or ideas. Think of it simply. Introverted intuition is like a telescope narrowing to one line of sight, while extroverted intuition is like a radar sweeping in all directions. This combination, inward energy and intuitive focus, explains why their rhythm looks slow on the surface, even while something profound is forming underneath. But that same inner process creates a painful paradox. While others act quickly, deep intuitives are still silent, still gathering. An INFJ seems quiet in conversation, but they're already mapping the emotional currents beneath the surface. An INFP seems hesitant, but they're weighing every choice against the truth of their values. An INTJ seems inactive, but they're quietly building the systems no one else can see. An INTP seems scattered, but they're synthesizing endless ideas into a hidden order. And this hidden depth is easily misunderstood, because to the world, it looks like nothing is happening. Jung once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." For deep intuitives, that pain is the sense of being left behind while others race ahead. Yet beneath the surface, something is happening. What looks like stillness is more like an iceberg, the visible tip quiet above the water, while below a vast unseen structure is forming. In silence, their energy is consumed by a high-velocity engine of pattern detection, scanning, connecting, weaving hidden architecture, all of it driving toward a single sudden, unexpected eruption, the moment of the click. So, what is really happening in that silence before the click? Why do deep intuitives seem delayed, only to erupt ahead when no one expects it? Stay with me. I'll break it down in the next minutes. And if you resonate with this, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dives. Here's the truth. What looks like stillness is not stillness at all. It is merely incubation, a hidden period before eruption. When we look closer, this incubation tends to reveal itself in three hidden movements. The first movement is silent building. Outwardly, nothing moves. Inwardly, the soil is warming, the seed is alive. To the world, you look behind, but beneath the surface, foundations are forming. The second movement is doubt. This is the hardest part. The questions arrive. Am I broken? Am I too slow? Will I ever catch up? This phase belongs especially to those who haven't yet discovered their own pattern. Without that awareness, the silence feels like emptiness instead of preparation. Many mistake incubation for failure, not knowing they are in the middle of a necessary silence. The third movement is gathering. The mind is weaving roots in every direction, connecting ideas, values, insights. And just before eruption, something begins to appear. The pattern, the hidden architecture. In this moment, integration begins. The scattered fragments start to align, and the intuitive mind sees how the pieces fit together. Once you glimpse it, the silence breaks and eruption follows. And this is the spark that triggers the click. This rhythm shows the time paradox of deep intuitive minds. Long stretches of silence followed by a single instant where everything accelerates at once. Of course, for some, incubation may not always take 3 phases. If a deep intuitive has already awakened and integrated their gift of intuition, the cycle can shorten, passing through only 2 phases before clarity arrives. And that's why understanding yourself through reflections like this is so important. The more you recognize your own pattern, the less time you lose mistaking silence for failure. This is the short cycle, the rhythm you live in jobs, relationships, skills, even in learning something like a new language. Again and again, waiting, doubt, gathering, then eruption. Remember that job scene at the beginning? At first you were silent, watching. It felt like slowness. But what was really happening is that your mind was building the map. Who holds power? Who hides insecurity? Which rules are spoken? Which rules are silent? And then one day, it clicks. Suddenly you're not behind, you're ahead. You navigate effortlessly, predict outcomes, and act with clarity no one else saw coming. It's like the painter who fills 1,000 sketchbooks with nothing and then creates a masterpiece in a single night. Or like learning a new language. At first, your classmates seem to learn faster, grasping words and grammar while you lag behind. But then one day, once you see the pattern of the language, fluency surges forward and suddenly you're speaking with ease. For deep intuitives, this click shows up in everyday life. It happens when you move to a new city. At first you feel lost, and then suddenly you know the streets better than the locals. It happens in relationships where you hesitate at the start, and then suddenly understand the other person more than they understand themselves. It happens with new skills where you struggle endlessly, and then, almost overnight, mastery arrives. These are the short cycle clicks, repeating themselves again and again. But beneath them all, another incubation is unfolding. One that lasts not just days or weeks, but sometimes many years, even decades. And if this part already resonates with you, leave the word click in the comments. That way I'll know this pattern speaks to you, and others will see it too. Beneath all those everyday clicks lies something larger. The long incubation of a lifetime. Life itself moves in stages. And for deep intuitives, this rhythm is even more pronounced. And within this long arc, there are 4 stages, each one reshaping how life unfolds and how you come to see yourself. The first stage is illusion. It begins in childhood and adolescence. You think you know who you are. You adapt, you copy roles, you succeed at the surface game. School and structured environments reward your gifts. You see patterns, you outperform, you feel ahead. But this confidence is borrowed. It belongs to the structure, not yet to the soul. And when those structures fall away in early adulthood, the illusion begins to fracture. And as the illusion breaks, the second stage begins. Crisis. For deep intuitives, it often starts earlier than for others, as soon as you leave the safety of classrooms or family roles. And as you move closer to midlife, its weight often grows heavier. What once carried you no longer works. The truths of yesterday no longer fit today. The map no longer matches the territory. Carl Jung told us, "We cannot live the afternoon of life according to the program of its morning. For what was great in the morning will be little at evening. And what in the morning was true will at evening have become a lie." At this stage, the pressure can feel unbearable. You may isolate yourself. You may feel broken. You may search desperately for meaning, but find only emptiness. This is what many call the midlife crisis. But for deep intuitives, it often begins long before midlife. It is the collapse of illusions, the painful clearing that makes space for depth. And yet in that breaking, something else begins to stir. Out of the rubble grows the third stage, grounding. Around the turning point of midlife, often near the age of 40, despair gives way to stability. You start to live not from borrowed roles, but from your own alignment. Values sharpen, the compass steadies, and for the first time, you begin to sense the deeper architecture of your life, the hidden order, the wisdom in your experience, the meaning behind what once seemed random. What looked like delay now reveals itself as preparation. And as that foundation steadies, the way opens to the fourth stage, integration. From grounding rises a deeper wholeness. The conscious and unconscious no longer pull against each other, they begin to move together. The gift of intuition matures into vision. Events reveal pattern, symbols show order, what once felt scattered begins to cohere. This is not mere adaptation, but the first taste of unity. Carl Jung believed the true work of the psyche rarely begins until the second half of life. The long incubation takes decades because it is preparing not for outer achievement, but for inner transformation. And when that preparation ripens, something greater arrives. All the smaller clicks of life are rehearsals. They teach you to trust the rhythm, but the long incubation leads to something greater, the great click. This is the moment when the old personality falls away and something new begins to emerge. The mask no longer rules, the shadow is no longer denied, and the self begins to shine through. It is not just eruption, but rebirth. Not just growth, but individuation. The becoming of a true individual. Carl Jung described it this way: individuation means becoming an individual. And insofar as individuality embraces our innermost, last, and incomparable uniqueness, it also implies becoming one's own self. To individuate is to reconcile what was hidden with what was seen, to step out from behind the persona, and to live as your true self. It means no longer following the path society prescribed, but discovering your own, whole, unique, unmasked. And yet this becoming is never easy. It arrives only after the dark night of the soul, after illusion has broken, after crisis has burned through, after grounding and integration have steadied your roots. Life will keep breaking you until you reach this point. As Carl Jung told us, the birth of the new personality is always a suffering, a death of the old. That is individuation. That is the great click, the awakening that changes not only how you live, but who you are. And when you finally arrive here, you see that every season of slowness, every doubt, every silence was only leading to this. So, if you are a deep intuitive mind, whether INFJ, INFP, INTJ, or INTP, or even if you don't yet know your type, but you recognize yourself in this pattern, stop calling yourself slow. You're not behind, you're preparing. Every silence, every doubt, every delay has been building toward your own click. The smaller ones you've already felt, the greater one is still unfolding. Or maybe for you, it has already arrived. Tell me in the comments. Subscribe and remember, this is where rare souls finally see themselves. Until next time, keep walking your rhythm and keep honoring your click.